welcome to week 3 of Rocky's recap in the NFL. So wow, what a week 3 we had. Definitely some big surprises here. We had the Browns finally winning, the Lions beat the Patriots, the Jaguars lost to the Titans, the Bills blew out the Vikings, and the discombobulated Steelers managed to take down the Bucks. We'll get back to that in just a second, but first let's start off with Thursday night's game. New York Jets versus Cleveland Browns.
Talk it, walk it like I talk it. You walk it like I talk it. 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 Hey, walk it like I talk it.
Incredible thing. I got people on social media talking about my man crush on Baker. I ain't thinking about y'all. Yes, I do have a man crush on him. I watched this live, and if you were here, you would have one too. So shut up.
What a game. Finally, we see Cleveland get a win. Finally, we see Mayfield get in. I've been dying to see this on it. I've been a fan of him and his story since day one. So that was great to see him get out there and do what we all know that he's capable of doing. Browns got their first win in 635 days. It's been since 2016, 2 years, ending their 19-game winless streak, which is the second longest streak since 1970. So Mayfield came in with like 2 minutes left in the second half, and immediately the energy changed in the building. He came out in the second half and went off. He was 17 of 23, 201 yards, 1 receiving touchdown, no interceptions, and 3 drops. So the numbers don't really depict the full story of what it looked like, because he was throwing some accurate darts, amazing display coming off the first-round draft pick that really hasn't been getting reps with the ones, and coming in and stepping in and being called on in this type of situation to be able to step to the occasion and deliver was super exciting to watch. And he just looks so poised and so confident doing so. Statistically, he outperformed Darnold in half the amount of quarters. Darnold also threw 2 interceptions. Mayfield had 0. Here's a closer look at the action.
Look at that dude, man. There it is, shoot. Hands. Look at this. Look at this. Oh. Tell you what, them LSU boys. I'm loving it.
What an impressive performance offensively, especially coming from the wide receiver Jarvis Landry. Shout out LSU. He had a great catch to lead into what set up a trick play for the Cleveland special for him tossing off that touchdown pass to Mayfield. I'm super impressed with him. He had 8 receptions for 103 yards and a Cleveland special touchdown. Carlos Hyde as well was very impressive. Hard running, fighting through the tackles, getting extra yards, impressive touchdown run. He was 23 with 98 yards, 2 touchdowns on his birthday while his baby was being born. Some impressive runs from him with his baby being born. That was super sweet to pay reflection to his son being born at the moment of him getting these touchdowns. But enough of the offense. How about this defense? Denzel Ward with a strip fumble, 8 tackles for loss. Schubert with 11 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and an interception. Mitchell with 9 tackles, 1 pass deflection, and an interception. This Browns defense is here and means business. Offensively and defensively, they're now clicking. Let's just say they're pretty dangerous if they can keep this up. Darnold has seemed to pretty much unravel. It is interesting to kind of see the debate of who should have gone first, perform against each other, and see Mayfield outperform him and maintain his complete composure throughout the game. Even though the Week 1 Jets defense did not show up, Avery Williamson did show up and was a beast at linebacker for the Jets. He had 14 tackles, 1.5 sacks, a tackle for a loss, 2 quarterback hits, and the rest of the D, I think they might have thought it was flag football today. Here's a closer look at that.
Mayfield.
Jamal Adams clearly making light of the situation that's going on with the Jets defense. Next game, New York Saints and Atlanta Falcons. I was at this game, guys. This was so intense. I was literally at the edge of my seat the entire game. So happy we were able to pull off the victory in overtime. Super proud. Still got a lot of work to do. This game was actually pretty interesting because both teams did really well offensively. There was a lot of records set. On a day that Drew Brees became the NFL's leader in completed passes, the biggest play actually came as a runner with his spin move on respectable defenders in Poole and Alford for a touchdown to force it into overtime. Saints quarterback Drew Brees willed his teammates to a victory by hurting the Falcons with his arms and his legs, which ironically is something that Matt Ryan pulled off on the Panthers last week. Brees, who also set the NFL record for career completions this game with 6,326, which he surpassed Favre's record, finished off with 39 of 49, 396 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 2 rushing touchdowns, which I think is the second time in his career that he's been able to do that. His first rushing score came late in the fourth quarter from 7 yards out, like I said, the spin move to get the touchdown to force it into overtime. And the second rushing touchdown came in overtime to seal the win and push the Saints to a 2-0 record. Brees currently holds the lead with the league an 80.6 completion percentage. Very impressive. However, Drew Brees wasn't the only one putting on a show and wasn't the only one setting records. Michael Thomas, with 10 catches on the game for 129 yards, now has 38 catches through the first 3 games of the season, which is an NFL record, which ironically was actually previously held at 34 by Julio Jones and the Falcons in 2015. You literally cannot guard Mike. He leads the league this year with receiving yards at 38 and 398 yards. Speaking of passing yards, Alvin Kamara is out here just proving and showing that he is capable of holding the herd while Mark Ingram is out, not only by rushing, but receiving yards are going crazy. He set a record as well. He continued to show that he could hurt a team when lined up as a receiver. Kamara posted 15 of 20 catches for 124 yards. He had 190 total yards. Sunday marked the second 100-yard receiving effort on the season by Kamara, paralleling his Week 1 performance with 112 yards. He leads the league this year in receiving yards for a running back with 30 receptions and 289 yards. Saints' total yards was 534. If we can get our defense to actually show up, then it's a wrap. And I'm just happy that they at least showed up enough to make it count at the end of the game, where we held them to a critical stop late in the game, and also the block punt that led to a recovery. Here's a closer look at the electric offense that the Saints put on today.
Fake by Brees, swings it to Ted Ginn, cut away, broke a tackle, went into the end zone, but there is a flag on the play. Williams in a running back. Brees throws to Michael Thomas, and there is the record breaker. Thomas continues to go up to the 45-yard line. Brees dances out of trouble, gets rid of it, and it's Cameron Meredith for a touchdown. Cameron Meredith's first catch as a New Orleans Saint.
Kamara isolated again.
Kamara's out to the right. Brees looking left. He's got room. Across the line of scrimmage. He goes into the end zone. Touchdown. Drew Brees.
Even with all that Saints action, Atlanta and Matt Ryan still shredded our defense and found our weaknesses. Ridley had an amazing breakout game with 7 receptions, 146 yards, 3 touchdowns. Atlanta's first rookie with 3 scoring touchdowns. Their offense still totaled 407 yards and 5 touchdowns, which was a personal best record for Matt Ryan. They tied the franchise record that was set in 1992 as well. His 75-yard touchdown pass to Ridley was his 34th career touchdown pass against the Saints, most by any quarterback, surpassing Joe Montana. So shame on us. If Ridley can use this game to build momentum, the Falcons will definitely have quite a formidable wide receiver trio with Ridley, Sanu, and Jones going forward, and people better watch out. The only thing really hampering this team is their defense is hurt, and it will definitely affect them going into the season. Here's a clip of all of Ridley's action, because I think it's much deserved to get a nice glance at it.
Back in football.
Ryan gets protection, throwing and completing up to the 45-yard line for a first down to Calvin Ridley. Ryan with time finds Ridley, holds on. The ball was slipping out of his hands, but he held on. It's a first down.
1-on-1, and Matty Ice goes to him.
Out of no huddle. Throws to the end zone. Touchdown! Calvin Ridley!
productivity out of Calvin Ridley. They put him in the slot again. He runs a stutter go on P.J. Williams. Sometimes the coaches, they give you a little intel. They thought they could take advantage of this matchup.
Coleman, the running back. Ortiz is the fullback. Ryan throwing to Ridley. Boy, he's the primary receiver so far in the game. Ridley bellied back and actually lost a couple of yards. Ryan 10 for 15 in the game. Throwing it deep for Ridley. He's got it. Breaks the tackle. And it's going all the way. Touchdown. Second and goal for the Falcons at the 9-yard line. They were 4 for 4 in red zone tries last week against Carolina. Nobody open. Ryan buys some time. Throws. Ridley's got it. His third of the game.
The quarterback doesn't have someone try to find the lane to throw it. You're going to see Ridley. He's going to get tied in here, but he's going to circle back to the back of the end zone. The way the coaches teach it, Matty Ice steps up into the pocket, escapes to his left, Ridley breaks his route. He's in the league, but you have to be a decoy, being one of the great receivers.
On 3rd and 6, Ryan gets it to Ridley. First down.
I swear those Bama boys stay stressing me out. All the way from the collegiate level to now the professional level. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley killed me at Bama against my team at LSU. And now both of them stacked up over there at the Falcons are killing me with my Saints. It's so hard to watch these boys, but they're doing great and I'm proud of them. At the end of the day, SEC all day, right? Next game, Denver versus Baltimore. Denver was plagued by penalties and turnovers, including an ejection from Patrick Lindsay, the rookie running back, for throwing a punch. They were literally just self-defeating. 13 penalties for 120 yards, which wiped out a whole host of games. Keenum honestly just needs to play within himself and not force things and try not to be a superhero. There was no rushing game and nothing down the field that wasn't called back by penalties. The Ravens, however, their receiving corps is experiencing a great awakening with Michael Crabtree, 7 catches for 61 yards, John Brown, 5 catches for 86 yards. They overcame an early deficit, and a very impressive stat to me was that the Ravens scored a touchdown on all 3 trips to the red zone and have now scored a touchdown on every red zone trip they've made this season. So impressive for them. Hopefully they can keep it going. Next game, Cincinnati versus Carolina. Dalton struggled with weapons and missing A.J. Green and running back Mixon. He threw 4 costly picks. Carolina's offense that was channeled by McCaffrey's great running performance. He showed that he can mine between the tackles with 99 yards in just the first half rushing, and he totaled a career best of 184 for the day. Cam Newton also got some nice achievements in getting his 56th career rushing touchdown, passing Marshawn Lynch, which was set in 2011. But back to the Panthers defense. Now home to a handful of new faces, Dante Jackson, LSU, hauled in 2 acrobatic picks, giving the rookie corner 3 interceptions in the past 2 games. Big shout out to him. I'm super proud of him and way to represent LSU, DBU. Obata's pick was paired with quarterback pressures and a body-crushing sack on Dalton that appeared to be a fumble but was overturned, but either way, great debut for him. Here's a clip on what Carolina looked like in this game.
3rd down and 17. Glenn trying to hold him off. Wilder and picked off on the play. The rookie's got it. Out of LSU, Dante Jackson. 3rd and goal at the 3. Newton. And in for the touchdown. Number 56. The most ever by a quarterback. 2-yard touchdown run, Cam Newton.
Always super impressed to see my LSU boys perform at a high level at the next level, especially in their rookie season. But on to the next game. Buffalo Bills at the Minnesota Vikings. Wow, what a shocker. I'm pretty sure a lot of people lost money on this game. The Buffalo Bills traveled into Minnesota as a huge underdog and proceeded to dominate the Vikings in all 3 phases of the game. The Bills' defense confounded Kirk Cousins tremendously through 2 quarters, sacking the quarterback 3 times, forcing 2 fumbles, only allowed 46 yards, 2 first downs, and did not allow Minnesota to cross the 50-yard line until the 3rd quarter. The Bills' D definitely dominated with 4 sacks, 2 fumbles recovered, and 1 interception. Despite the low expectations of Buffalo's squad that was coming in off a pretty weak start. The Bills came to play, and simply Minnesota just sleepwalked. It's what it looked like. Josh Allen making heady plays, throwing darts, extending plays, definitely baffled the Vikings defense. Credit the Bills coaching staff, however, for giving the rookie quarterback a lot of quick early throws to get him on the groove and to help with the offensive struggling line. He was 15 of 22 on 196 yards, 1 touchdown throw, and a quarterback rating of 111 and 2 rushing touchdowns, one including a huge hurdling play. I think he will continue to have up and down games, but for now, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and enjoy this road win. Cousins, however, he couldn't maneuver through traffic. He fumbled twice and threw an interception on a forced ball into traffic that was botched by Latavius Murray. With no protection, the Vikings offense had 0 downfield options and elements and 0 rushing game. Here are some reactions following this game.
You like that? 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 You like that?
What are you doing here?
What?
Am I crazy? Or didn't you quit?
Oh, what, Dad? Are you kidding? I didn't quit. Why, you took that seriously.
I definitely got a kick out of that, and I hope you guys did too. But on to the next game, New York Giants versus Houston. Eli Manning showed up and showed that he is not just an old man past his peak, that he is able to still find clutch wins and lull his team to a win in fourth quarter comebacks, which is exactly what he did on his beautiful 9-play, 77-yard drive late in the fourth quarter that culminated into a 7-yard touchdown pass to Shepard to seal the game. He remained very calm, even with J.J. Watt coming at him left and right, which is exactly what they needed out of him for the Big Blue to win in a very clutch game. Manning was very efficient with 25 of 29, 297 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Barkley, of course, the rookie, still impressive with 17 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. He also caught for 5 catches, and 35 yards. Alongside Odell Beckham, LSU, 109 receiving yards on 9 catches, and Shepard 6 catches for 80 yards. They still need to address what's going on the O-line, because if they want a healthy Eli Manning to get them anywhere this season, they have got to address that. But there's more issues to be worried about with Houston. With Watson not looking quite the same as he did before he suffered that ACL surgery last season, the Texans need to find a way to be consistent on offense throughout an entire game. They put up good numbers, but it's just not consistent. They got to figure out something to snap out of this funk and revive their quickly deteriorating season. Deshaun Watson struggled with his arm inconsistency, playing behind the poorest protection that he has in front of him, completing 24 of 40 attempts, 385 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He threw a costly interception in the end zone in the fourth quarter. They are on a 9-game losing streak, which actually is now the longest losing streak in the league right now. Next game, Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Kind of a boring game, honestly. What summarized it for me was just poor quarterback play and wide receiver play. A lot of missed targets and drop balls. Credit to Mariota, though, for making the most of what he could, coming in with still being injured. And he rushed for 7 attempts, 51 yards. Pretty impressive. But the key stat categories here pretty much were turnovers, penalties, and time of possession, which all fell in the favor of the Titans. That was likely a difference in this game that we hope to pretty much never see again. Should we be worried about the Jaguars? I don't think so. Both teams had 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. It was a bleh game. Not like the Jags gave up any huge plays or touchdowns. It was simply just that their offense was absent to put up points, and like we've always talked about, until the offense is consistently showing up for the Jaguars, the defense cannot do it by themselves. On to the next game. San Francisco versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes is still the man. By halftime of Sunday's action, Mahomes had broken Peyton Manning's record for the most scoring passes in the first 3 weeks of the season. He has already tossed touchdowns to 9 different receivers, 4 shy of Matt Ryan's 2016 record. His scramble play that led to a perfection of a running strike to an end zone for a touchdown pass is the play that most seasoned quarterbacks couldn't have even pulled off if they tried. We'll get a clip of that in a minute. They had 5 possessions in the first half, and they scored on all 5. That's the first time in franchise history for them. His vision while scrambling and his ability to get it there unforced or off target is really just so incredible to watch. However, poor Garoppolo, out for the season with a torn ACL injury. Prayers up to him. on a non-contact play. Guys, you have got to start training your bodies and right to where you do not have these injuries on non-contact plays. Super important. Sorry it had to be that way. Prayers up for you. Next game, Oakland versus Miami. Let's take a closer look at this.
From just inside the 35, Tannehill holding on, now going deep, has a man in the end zone, caught! Kenny Stills, touchdown!
Kenny Stills is the big, deep threat that the Dolphins like to take advantage of.
On their own power, and Tannehill going deep down the sideline, got his man, Devontae Parker. A little double reverse action, and here comes Albert Wilson throwing it. Wide open, Jakeem Grant. Grant to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown.
Their timeouts before the 2-minute warning.
This is Albert Wilson. Albert Wilson on his way. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown, Miami.
What an impressive game by Miami, right? I am just continuously impressed with them week in and week out on both sides of the ball. They're completely shocking me. The Raiders came in ranked a respectable 11th in the league against the pass, but Tannehill said, no problem, I'm still going to show out. He completed 17 of 23 passes for 289 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. Tannehill effectively spread the ball around to 8 different receivers, Albert Wilson being one of them, who led the way with the receiving 74-yard touchdown catch, and he showed he could also pass during a trick play in the fourth quarter, as you just saw in the highlight. Minka Fitzpatrick on defense made his debut as a rookie because Rashad Jones was out on injury, and he did a great job recording 10 tackles, finishing second only behind Kiki Alonso, who had 15. Let's also not forget about Xavier Howard, who just is a picking machine this year. He had 2 interceptions this game. Very impressive. The Dolphins are off to a 3-0 start because they have an efficient offense and a very capable defense, which entered Week 3 ranked 18th in the league, but Fitzpatrick showed that he could be a force with extended play, and he could definitely help those Dolphins improve the current standings of that if they stick with him in the starting lineup going forward. They're going to Foxborough this week, so we shall see how that goes. They haven't won there since 2008, but I'm very curious to see how that game goes. But a little bit about Oakland. Shout out to Jordy Nelson. He did have a great game despite the loss. 6 catches, 173 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 151 yards just in the first half. But that's the key. The Oakland Raiders don't do anything in the second half. They start off big in the first half and completely blow the second half. So they have got to get on top of that in order to do anything this year. Next game, the Colts versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The most alarming sequence in this game to me was in the 1-minute drill when the Indianapolis Colts were down by 4 points. After a series of check down passes in which Luck was reluctant to look downfield, he was replaced by Jacoby Brissett for a Hail Mary attempt at midfield. Is Luck's throwing arm a story that we're going to have to monitor going forward? Like, is this the new normal for him? He can't get it downfield, or is he still just trying to regain strength and flexibility? I don't know, but I miss the old losing effort. The Colts defense showed up once again and showed that it is not to be taken lightly in 2018. Darius Leonard, the rookie, being at the head of it, coming off last week with the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, still proceeded to show why he should be, again, the Defensive Player of the Week, leading with 13 tackles, 5 for a loss, 2 sacks, and a pass deflection. Defensive end Marcus Hunt is playing at a Pro Bowl level in his new defense, adding 3 tackles for a loss, including a strip sack and a fumble recovery deep in Eagles territory. If not for a questionable Jabal Sheard holding penalty on 3rd down, Hunt would have halted Wentz's game-winning drive, which, by the way, they sacked Wentz 5 times. And Wentz's welcome back was pretty much anticlimactic for me, but for the most part, I'm happy to see him back. Next game, Green Bay versus Washington. What an impressive performance by Washington on both sides of the ball. Adrian Peterson specifically, big week for him. 33-year-old running back galloped for his 52nd career 100-yard game, pounding through the Packers' defensive front for 120 yards on 19 carries and 2 touchdowns. The Redskins' offensive line gave Allday a sliver of light, and he was just running through, blasting through big gashes, breaking tackles, juking defenders, doing what he does. When Peterson is pounding, the entire Washington offense opens up. The Packers' defense had no answer for the tight ends on Sunday. Alex Smith hit Jordan Reed repeatedly on big plays, including a 34-yarder, and nailed Vernon Davis for a big 50-yard play. Rodgers was sacked 4 times on a day and was pressured repeatedly. Redskins interior duo Jonathan Allen and Payne dominated, gobbling up 3 sacks and 10 combined tackles. A hurt Rodgers will not be good thing for Green Bay, because if he's not making plays that should be made usually when he's healthy, he shouldn't play at all. So right now it's not working out for Green Bay with a hurt Aaron Rodgers. Speaking of hurt quarterbacks, on to the next thing. Another week, another Clay Matthews roughing the passer penalty. The Packers linebacker has been flagged for this in each game of the season this year. This controversial call wiped out a 17-yard sack, and it's the 3rd week he's done it. And like I said the last time, it was a huge game-changing call against Minnesota. With all the discussions and controversy and debates going around this new rule, I thought I would share a good laugh on the matter.
Down, say hot.
Okay.
Say freeze tag.
Freeze tag.
Now move.
Tag, you're it. Now another one
Now
comes.
you come. Now is where it gets tricky, because now if y'all both come, now I just need to be laid down safely.
Right.
So you come grab my top half.
So we have to
right
sit here.
Yeah, right here. Now you can come in and get my bottom half.
Okay.
Pick me up. Go ahead. Feel free. Now that's too hard. Don't put me down there. Y'all got something to lay me on? No.
This would be a penalty.
Get something down. Get something down.
Okay.
Lay me down.
Okay.
Don't you do me without that. Now make sure I'm safe. Now put that on, because I get cold. I get cold.
Okay.
Lay me down. I get cold.
You good?
Okay. No, I'm not good.
You not good?
Now,
How about that?
No. One of y'all give me a story.
Here we go.
Say something nice.
It was the night before Christmas.
There you go.
All through the house.
There you go.
Should I
Not a
burp you
creature
too?
was stirring.
Yeah, pat my back.
Okay.
Not even the mouse named Kevin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the way we're going to do it from
This
now on.
is a safe sack.
That's a safe sack?
Come in.
Okay.
I was literally dying laughing watching those impressions of what a new sacking the quarterback will look like, because honestly that's the trajectory we're headed on, and as a fan I'm not really a fan of it. I think it needs to be consistent. I do agree with safety. I'm a nurse, I get it, but something needs to be done there because it's getting out of hand. But on to the next game. Chargers versus the Rams. The Rams put on an offensive clinic against their counterparts, cranking out a total of 521 yards, 33 first downs, tied for the most by a team this season. In their win over the Chargers, the Rams passed for 350 yards and rushed for 171 yards, marking only the 2nd time the team has done that since 1980. Jared Goff thoroughly outplayed his elder Phillip Rivers, cranking out his career best of 354 yards, passing and 3 scores. If it was not for the red zone pass intercepted by a heat-seeking Derwin James, Goff would have been pretty much close to perfect on the day. He connected with Robert Woods, his favorite target of this day, 10 times for 104 yards and 2 scores. Last week it was Brandon Cooks. 2 weeks ago it was Todd Gurley. You get the picture. This offense can beat you a million ways, and they are getting better and better each week. They're very much something to be reckoned with. The Rams didn't punt until the 4th quarter, guys. With this crucial interconference matchup coming up with them on Thursday night against the Minnesota Vikings, the Rams could be without their 2 top cornerbacks, with Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib coming out with injuries this game. If neither corner can recover quickly, that may not turn out to look so great for Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen connecting and taking advantage of the clash. But, however, Vikings didn't play so hot, so who knows how that game will go. I'm interested to see. Honestly, with the Chargers, the only thing I have to say there is really just lots of key mistakes on the Chargers' parts, guys. Even on their interception in the end zone, Derwin James returned it out to the 1, which resulted in a blocked punt that turned into a touchdown. Then they chose to kick a late field goal in the game when they were down 2 scores, and you're on the 8. Decision-making from the top to the bottom, individual play, was just very self-inflicting for them. Hopefully they can figure out how to get that together. Next game, Chicago versus Arizona. Honestly, I didn't necessarily care for the way that they threw Rosen in the last 4 minutes in a very crappy game. But they've since named him the starter going forward, so hopefully he'll get a chance to be better prepared and have a better shot and be more productive. But honestly, for Bradford, outside of the 4 big passing plays that were 35, 32, 30, and 21 yards, 3 of which came in the third quarter, Bradford earned just 40 yards on 15 attempts. He ended with 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, a fumble, and a seat on the bench until Rosen potentially would get hurt. Khalil Mack, still doing his Mack attack, continuing to break records and doing things that only he's done in the past. This game, he recorded 2 sacks, 5 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, 1 tackle for a loss, and a forced fumble. He has recorded a sack and a fumble every game this season. How impressive is that? Each week, I am like dumbfounded that the Raiders or any team could ever let this guy go. Anyways, the Bears defense as a whole stood tall. Chicago's defense controlled the game, battering a poor Cardinals offensive line, perplexing an immobile Bradford, and holding Johnson to 2.6 carries on 12 attempts. They had 3 interceptions and 4 sacks. Honestly, as far as Chicago goes, I'm still not convinced Trubisky is capable of carrying this team deep into anything offensively. He's not consistent enough. However, defensively, they are most definitely solid, though. So if they can figure out the offense thing, they'll get it together. Next game, Dallas versus Seattle. Carroll's patient approach going into this game is what made the difference. He was nicely executed with balancing the rushing attack and the passing attack against the Cowboys. And it was no easy task considering the Cowboys' defense actually was ranked 3rd overall in the league going into this week. Russell Wilson completed 16 of 26, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns, while the Seahawks as a team pounded out 113 yards on 39 carries and a touchdown. Seahawks adjusted to getting the ball out faster, a lot faster than they did when they faced the Bears, and I think that was a huge difference as well because Russell had more time. Well, I don't want to say more time, but he got it out faster, so we were preventing sacks and losses and, you know, all that stuff. But also, Earl Thomas went off on defense. He definitely... My favorite part was when he got his interception and he went and bowed to Dallas, who had passed on acquiring him in the offseason. But shout out to him. 2 interceptions at this point in his career. I'm just continue to be impressed by him, and they're both impressive acrobatic type interceptions, and we'll see a clip of those later. Dak struggled with the pressure, and honestly, like, his protection is just not as good as it was and has been in the past. But honestly, like with Dallas, like for a team with a quarterback like Dak Prescott and a running back like Ezekiel Elliott, the lack of consistent production and even imagination in play calling is just like perplexing to me. Like, sure, the Cowboys have no longer have receivers as in Des Bryant and Jason Witten, which were 2 key weapons in previous seasons, but the team has to find a way to get the offense going after converting just 3 of 13 times on 3rd down on Sunday. The offensive line is the offensive line just like not as good as it was in the past when they were very productive, or is it simply just because there isn't any wide receiver threats? I don't know what's going on, but I know Dak was sacked 5 times. Not acceptable. Next game, New England versus Detroit. Let's take a little quick look at that.
About players, man, and you guys went out and played. You put the work in every single day, and Sunday is a good time. Now, is this fun? This is exactly what we needed, right? So proud of you guys. I love you. I believe in you, and we got to keep stacking them together. We got to roll now. You got me?
Big congrats to Matt Patricia. I know he's feeling like $1 million right now. After 2 lackluster games, Matt Patricia's Lions pulled it all together against his former employer and secured the coach's first win with the club in a very resounding fashion. Matt Stafford even rebounded from his miserable home opener to pilot 5 scoring drives, completing 75% of his passes and tossed 2 touchdowns. The defense, victimized 2 weeks ago by a rookie quarterback in his first start, shut down the greatest quarterback of all time, arguably, sacking him twice and forcing 4 3-and-outs, including 3 to start the game. Lions rookie running back Kerryon Johnson, rushed for 101 yards and 16 carries. Johnson became the first Lions running back to surpass 100 yards since Reggie Bush did it in 2013. Johnson was a chain mover, too, accounting for 8 of Detroit's 25 first down conversions. Lacking balance on offense for at least half a decade, hopefully this is a sign of balance to come. New England compiled only 209 total yards on offense, its fewest total since 2016. It will be interesting to see if and when Flash gets in and how the offense will shake up, because now teams will have to be accountable for him, and they will no longer really be able to double team Gronkowski. So it'll open things up, hopefully. Not so much hopefully for me, because I can't stand the Patriots, but you know what I'm saying. The Patriots did not get a first down on the first 3 drives, which is the first time that's happened since 2001. They had the least amount passing yards since 2014. And with this 16-point loss, the Patriots have now lost by double digits in 2 straight games for the first time since 2002. And I'm loving it. The Lions had 3 times the time of possession in the first half. Big difference. Here's what Brady looked like following this game. Sorry, but I just like the sad face on Tom Brady. Anyways, to finish off this week's games recaps, let's go ahead and go to Monday night's game, Pittsburgh versus Tampa Bay. Honestly, guys, drama has just been a scapegoat for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and honestly, the reality is that there's a lot of X and O's missing. And in Pittsburgh, definitely defensively, they're missing the presence of Ryan Shazier. Bless his heart, prayers up to him, one of my favorites. They're definitely missing his presence on defense. The Steelers' defense is still suspect because, to me, Fitzpatrick still was able to put up 411 yards and even with 4 turnovers. So they still have a lot of work to do. Yes, the Steelers won. However, they were the most penalized this season and definitely need to work on that. They had 37 penalties and still having issues on offense, in my opinion, because how do you not score in the second half against the defense that's very beat up? And you have Big Ben, who is great at stuff like that, and also one of the best receivers in Antonio Brown. Something's going on there on offense as well. They should be having a field day in that type of environment. Big Ben did return to form somewhat in the first half, at least, with a win in Tampa Bay, completing 79% of his passes and throwing for 353 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Roethlisberger led 4 first-half scoring drives, but like I said, guys, there was none in the second half. That is a problem against the defense that's struggling and injured. Winston versus Fitzpatrick. What are we going to do here? I mean, it looks like Winston kind of knew that Fitzpatrick was going to go off. He even shared that with his coaches on his exit interviews and said where they clarified with him that, you know, your spot is not guaranteed upon, you know, return. And, you know, Winston had mentioned something like, you know, Fitz is going to go off, right? And which he has. Even in this loss, he's gone off. I mean, as far as what to do, I say you just ride the hot hand as long as you can, especially if you know that Winston's going to be your franchise guy. Then just let this ride out till it falls off. And honestly, I think this week will be a very telling week for them as they head to Chicago. And that defense, can Fitzpatrick handle it? Because he didn't handle the pressure so great this game. So we'll see going forward. So that wraps up week 2's recaps of each game and what I took from each one. Let's get into the best performances of week 3. Starting off at quarterback, Drew Brees, 396 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, second time in his career, and a win in overtime with a spin move, setting a record for the most completions in NFL history. Patrick Mahomes, of course, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an amazing scramble play for a touchdown, which we'll see here shortly. Cameron Newton, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, setting a record as well for rushing touchdowns. Matt Ryan, despite the loss, he still put up 374 yards and 5 touchdown passes, which was a personal best for him. Big Ben, even though I'm still not impressed with the second half performance, he did put up 30 of 38 for 353 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception in their first win of the season, which they very much needed. Josh Allen, very impressive, 15 of 22, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns, including a hurdling play to extend the play. Eli Manning, impressive, very efficient, 25 of 29, 86.2%, second highest in his career, even with a problematic O-line. Alex Smith, 12 of 20, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he spread it out to 4 receivers and was very efficient, even with just like very few yards. Next position to analyze, wide receiver best performances. Michael Thomas with 10 carries, 129 yards. He set a record for the most catches through the first 3 games at 38. Jarvis Landry, very impressive with his 8 catches, 103 yards with also a passing touchdown. Calvin Ridley, very impressive rookie performance. Definitely probably going to be his best performance this year. 7 catches, 146 yards, and 3 touchdowns, setting a record as the first rookie to do so for Atlanta, coming in the first 3 games. Jordy Nelson, despite the loss, 6 catches with 173 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans, despite the loss, still putting up numbers, 6 receptions, 137 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Boyd, despite the loss, still putting up numbers, 6 receptions, 132 yards and a touchdown. And Juju and McDonald, both eclipsing 100 yards, doing their thing, including the stiff arm play by McDonald, which we'll see here in a little bit. Running back performances in week 3 that were impressive. Christian McCaffrey, career best, 228 carries, 184 yards, just plowing through that Cincinnati Bengals. Adrian Peterson, impressive, 33-year-old, still pounding it, 19 carries, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kerryon Johnson, the rookie debut, first running back to eclipse 100 yards with Detroit, like I said, since Reggie Bush in 2013. He had 16 carries and 101 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, despite the loss, still ran for 16 carries and 127 yards. At defensive back, the people that stuck out the most to me in their performances this week were Dante Jackson, LSU, 2 interceptions, 7 tackles, 2 pass deflections. Earl Thomas, 2 interceptions, 7 tackles, 2 pass deflections. Xavier Howard for Miami, 2 interceptions. And Denzel Ward, still putting on a show each week, forcing the fumble, ripping the ball away, 4 tackles, 1 for a loss. At linebacker, the people that stuck out to me in their performances this week, of course, Khalil Mack attack, 2 sacks, forced fumble. He recorded, like I said, a fumble and a sack in each game of this year, which is impressive. He's breaking his own records. Like, nobody else does this. Tremaine Edmonds, the rookie for the Bills, 10 tackles, 1 for a loss, 1 pass deflection. Avery Williamson for the Jets, despite the loss, I think he's the only person who showed up on the defense. 14 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for a loss, and 2 quarterback hits. Again, for the second week in a row, Darius Leonard for the Colts, 13 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 1 pass deflection, and 2 quarterback hits. He is quite impressive. As far as rookie performances that impressed me the most this week, we kind of already named some of these names. Calvin Ridley, Josh Allen, Kerryon Johnson, Dante Jackson, Tremaine Edmonds, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Darius Leonard. As far as a whole team defensively, surprisingly, the Bills. They had 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 interception. The tackles were led by rookie Tremaine Edmonds with 10 tackles, and Micah Hyde and Milano with 8 tackles each, and Milano with an interception. Miami's defense was also very impressive, with Kiki Alonso and Fitzpatrick leading the way with 15 and 10 tackles each, followed by Baker and McCain with 9 tackles each. Also, the 2 interceptions by Xavier Howard. The Browns' defense was also very impressive, led by Ogunjobi with 8 tackles, 2 for a loss, Denzel Ward with his strip fumble, 4 tackles, 1 for a loss, Schubert, 7 tackles, 2 pass deflections, a quarterback hit, and an interception, and Mitchell, 5 tackles, 1 pass deflection, and an interception. Another defense that was pretty impressive was the Panthers, led by Shaq Thompson, 8 tackles, and Jones, 8 tackles, and Dante Jackson with 7 tackles and 2 interceptions, and Obada and Kuechly with an interception as well. Offensively, as a team that were impressive to me, Saints, Chiefs, Rams, and Falcons. Even with a loss, the Falcons still totaled 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and are very scary weapons on offense that are beginning to emerge and could be potentially dangerous going into the season. Most athletic plays in week 3 for me were Drew Brees' spin move for a touchdown to send it into overtime, Josh Allen's hurdle, Mahomes' scramble for a touchdown pass, Steelers' tight end stiff arming for a touchdown run, Dante Jackson's 2 interceptions, Earl Thomas's 2 interceptions, Miami trick play, Miami special, Wilson to Grant, Jarvis' nice grab from Mayfield, which then led to him passing a touchdown to Mayfield. Adrian Peterson still running like he's fresh in his prime all 4 quarters. We'll get a clip of that. Denzel Ward, like I've mentioned a couple times already, stripped ball, forced fumble play. Xavier Howard's 2 interceptions. Also, Kenny Stills' deep touchdown pass where he hit the wall. Also, we cannot forget Darius' big play Slay's interception. So here are some clips of all the highlights of the most impressive athletic performance.
Isolated again. Kamara's out to the right. Brees looking left. He's got room. Across the line of scrimmage, he goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Drew Brees. Whatever it takes.
Great play by Drew Brees, continuing to play. He's going to have a receiver that late in the play, no one's open. Great job by the Falcons. But you're going to see Benjamin Watson. He's going to come along this end line, and he's going to go out of bounds. Drew Brees sees the referee, potentially throws the hat. He doesn't have an eligible receiver. Drew Brees doesn't want to run the ball, but he does. Come on.
Watch this. This is a freak play.
Oh, no game.
No way.
Oh my!
Wow!
And you know who did he jump over? He jumped over. Was it Barr?
Pressure now on Mahomes. He's in trouble. Now gets it away. Are you kidding me?
Is forced out of the pocket. He is able to relocate his eyes downfield. His receivers go to work.
Look at this. Get up off me. Straight threw him off. Straight disrespected him. And then ran and got the touchdown. Oh my goodness.
Third down and 17. Glenn trying to hold him off. Robber and picked off on the play. The rookie's got it. Out of LSU, Dante Jackson. His second interception this season. The drive is stopped. Carolina's defense is there. Timeout. 20 yards to go here on second down, and Dalton a wobbly pass, and that is picked off. Another interception by Dante Jackson.
Rare throw. Pass is broken up, and now they're going to say catch and fumble. Thomas on the return. Gallup had it, lost it. They're calling it a catch, and Seattle takes over inside the 30.
Beasley came away limping after that tackle. Here's one over the middle, in the air, and it is intercepted by Seattle and Earl Thomas as he bows to the Dallas sideline.
Let's take another look. Yeah, the ball gets tipped up, and Jarwin is basically just trying to knock the ball down, get it out of there, and pull it in. It's just the hot potato, and Earl Thomas, the guy who seemingly is always around the ball, comes up with it once again.
Taunting, number 29 of the intercepting team.
He gets called for the taunting.
A little double reverse action, and here comes Albert Wilson throwing it. Wide open, Jakeem Grant. Grant to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown.
Look at that dude, man. LSU. Hands. Look at this. Look at this. Oh. I'll tell you what, them LSU boys. I'm loving it.
Here's Peterson. Jump cut. Adrian Peterson. Sprinting inside the 25. Is this 2012?
All right, watch Peterson and watch the vision. See how deep he was? He was able to see Kenny.
This cut, skirt, breaking tackles, pushing people off, bringing the whole team down with them.
Pick the Saints. Here's a nice throw and catch. And a first down, but the ball is out. Anderson made the catch, and Denzel Ward, the rookie, takes it inside the 10. Just took it right out of his arms. That kid can play. This defense came into the game leading the NFL with 8 takeaways, and they come away with another one right here. They've been awfully good at forcing fumbles. That's their 6th forced fumble on the season, and they've recovered all 6. So they're very opportunistic. They go at it. The ball of this car under pressure.
throw into the end zone. Did they pick it off? That's Xavier Howard, and he did. 2:15 play in the first. Carr rolling. Protection and going deep. Intercepted inside the 5-yard line. Picked off by Xavier Howard. To the 40s and down at about the 43-yard line.
35, Tannehill. Holding on, now going deep. Has a man in the end zone. Caught! Kenny Stills. Touchdown!
Kenny Stills is the big, deep threat.
Second and 8. Brady going deep downfield into double coverage, and it's intercepted. Intended for Dorsett. That's Darius Big Play Slay with a very big play and a flag on the run back. And another one comes in at the end of the play. Slay, who was in concussion protocol until late in the week. Double coverage on Dorsett deep downfield with the pick, and the penalty should be in regard to the run back.
Darius Slay has some of the best ball skills you'll find in the NFL. 8 interceptions a season ago, and you see why. Very comfortable. He was never uncomfortable on that route.
Wilson, 7.
Here are the NFL power rankings heading into week 4. I don't necessarily agree with the order of things, but I definitely agree that the Chiefs are a team to watch out for. The Saints are a team to watch out for. And to be honest, the Miami Dolphins, people better not take lightly. Of course, the Rams are definitely supposed to be something to be watching out for. I'm not totally convinced yet on the Eagles, Jaguars, Patriots, Steelers, and Vikings, and the Packers. Miami so far has been the team to impress me the most week in and week out, offensively and defensively. That wraps up Rocky's recap of Week 3 in the NFL. Hope y'all stay tuned for next week as I recap Week 4's matchups. Hope y'all enjoyed. Continue to subscribe and like and comment and tell me what you think.